A brutal purge is shaking the British monarchy as Prince William moves decisively to impose a new order, directly stripping the Parker Bowles faction of its privileges. Enraged by the cold exclusion imposed on herself and her children, Camilla has secretly deployed a vicious retaliatory gambit, using fabricated dossiers to smear William as an unfilial traitor scheming to seize the throne. This plot has not only plunged the father-son relationship between King Charles III and his heir into a chasm of suspicion, but also dragged the palace into a vortex of betrayal and ruthless judgments of conscience. Will William have the strength to turn the tide against Camilla? Who will ultimately be forced to leave Windsor? Stay locked on this series to witness a purge that will shake the monarchy to its core and see which traitor will be disgracefully expelled from the British royal family. Spring 2026 arrives, yet an even colder atmosphere settles over Windsor. Prince William, dressed in a perfectly tailored suit without a single crease, stands by the window overlooking the vast lawn. This is no longer a time for promises. This is a time for the purge of power. Since officially taking control of the Duchy of Cornwall estate, the monarchy's enormous money vault, William has swiftly turned it into his sharpest weapon. He not only holds financial authority, but has also directly tightened the security system at Windsor. Every corridor, every access code, and every movement schedule must now pass through the approval of the prince's office. A new order has been established, rigid and unforgiving. William's objective is crystal clear: to streamline a royal apparatus that has become bloated and abused. In the very first internal meeting of the spring, he issued a landmark directive. Only working royals are permitted to enjoy royal privileges. The list, once released, landed like a death sentence upon the lavish lifestyles of those who had long clung parasitically to the institution. The strike was aimed directly at Tom Parker Bowles and Laura Lopes, Queen Camilla's two children from her previous marriage. For years, leveraging their mother's influence, Tom and Laura had treated royal privileges as personal assets. They appeared at elite events, used royal prestige to secure business deals, and profited from traditions they bore no duty to serve. The first shock came when Tom Parker Bowles was stopped by security right at the runway. Under William's direct order, his access to royal aircraft had been permanently revoked. No more luxury private flights, no more special escorts. At the same time, in the household office, Laura Lopez's name was officially struck from the guest list of all major banquets at Buckingham Palace and Windsor for 2026. Watching her children being pushed to the margins of the monarchy in such humiliating fashion, Queen Camilla could no longer maintain her usual composure. In her private chamber at Windsor, she stared at William's new directive, her hands trembling with fury. To Camilla, this was not reform, it was a calculated humiliation. The stripping of her children's privileges was nothing less than a direct slap at her status as queen. The long-simmering jealousy toward William's solid position and Princess Kate now transformed into a dark, consuming rage. Camilla glanced out into the corridor where William's guards patrolled with stern expressions. In her mind, a plan for revenge had already begun to take shape. He thinks the title Prince of Wales gives him the power of a god? Camilla muttered, her eyes flashing with venom. William's arrogance in daring to touch her bloodline was a mistake Camilla would never forgive. Standing before the mirror, she adjusted her diamond brooch. but her heart was filled with ruthless calculations. She swore that, at any cost, William would pay dearly for this act. A covert war had officially begun, and the red line at Windsor had been crossed. William has legitimacy and financial power, but Camilla possesses the cunning of a survivor, forged through decades of royal turmoil. She will not retreat until she sees William brought to his knees, forced to regret ever underestimating the Parker Bowles faction. The dawn of spring 2026 brings no renewal, only the omen of the most brutal political bloodshed in modern royal history. And after this bombshell strikes, what move will she make next to take her revenge on William? Darkness blankets the endless corridors of Windsor Castle, where the portraits of monarchs past seem to hold their breath, silently witnessing the fracture of the present dynasty. Inside a private study, completely removed from the surveillance of the new security force established by William, Queen Camilla sits motionless behind a classic mahogany desk. Candlelight flickers across her face, casting cold fragments of light and shadow, reflecting a mind seething with ruthless calculations of revenge. For Camilla, the humiliation her children have endured cannot be washed away with words. It must be repaid with the downfall of the one who caused it. Camilla does not choose direct confrontation at family councils. She understands that William's power now stands as an impregnable fortress built on legitimacy and public trust. To destroy it, she needs an attack from within, a betrayal emerging from the tiniest cracks in the palace's operational system. That is when she remembers Arthur. Arthur is a longtime attendant with more than 3 decades of service within the palace, a silent ghost who holds the keys to secret chambers and knows the daily habits of every royal family member. He is the kind of man people forget exists, yet one who can access the most sensitive documents without raising suspicion. Camilla knows Arthur's weakness well, an enormous personal debt, and a deep fear of being discarded in William's streamlining purge. During a secret meeting in the palace's wine cellar, Camilla does not use commands, she uses temptation and threat. With a low but razor-sharp voice, she draws Arthur into a dark conspiracy where the price of failure is psychological execution. Arthur, you have served this monarchy long enough to understand that loyalty must sometimes be placed in the right hands to survive, Camilla murmurs, her eyes drilling into the trembling old servant. The prince wants a clean transformation, and in his list, relics like you have no place. But I am different. I can guarantee you your own kingdom if you help me complete a small task. Under Camilla's direct and meticulous guidance, a classified dossier titled "The Early Transfer Operation" begins to take shape. This is not merely a collection of forged papers, it is a masterpiece of deception. Camilla understands that to deceive someone as perceptive as King Charles and his legal advisors, the documents must carry the breath of truth. She provides Arthur with authentic signature samples, official seals, and even the distinctive formatting used by the office of the Prince of Wales. The contents of the dossier are a fatal strike aimed directly at William's honor. Arthur, under Camilla's strict supervision, fabricates evidence showing that William has been secretly transferring millions of pounds from the Duchy of Cornwall Fund into personal accounts in offshore tax havens. Every line of figures, every transaction order is constructed with astonishing precision, depicting a systematic embezzlement scheme designed to build a private financial empire beyond the control of the royal treasury. But financial greed is merely the outer shell. The true core of the early transfer operation lies in its political conspiracy. Camilla instructs Arthur to forge signature lists of high-ranking officials from the Privy Council and senior military commanders. The dossier claims that William has been secretly lobbying and gathering support to carry out a silent palace coup. The ultimate objective is clearly stated: to force King Charles III to abdicate immediately on the grounds of declining mental and physical health, allowing William to ascend the throne ahead of schedule with full legitimacy. Camilla weaves a perfect narrative of a greedy, unfilial son, a man whose righteous exterior conceals a frenzied ambition. She wants Charles to believe that the eldest son he once took pride in is, in truth, a venomous serpent, lying in wait, ready to cast both his father and stepmother out of the palace, banishing them into forgotten exile in order to monopolize the crown. He wants to streamline the monarchy, then let him taste what it feels like to be discarded by it. Camilla smiles bitterly as she flips through the completed dossier. Every word within those pages is soaked in the poison of envy. As Arthur trembles while handing over the finished file, Camilla knows she now holds a ticking bomb capable of obliterating William's political career. She does not merely want to reclaim privileges for her children, she wants to completely destroy the future of the monarchy under William. In the shadows of Windsor, Queen Camilla begins arranging her next moves, preparing to deliver this dossier into King Charles's hands at his most vulnerable moment. A classic drama of betrayal is ready to be staged, and Camilla is its most masterful director in the dark. The fading glow of dusk filters through the towering windows of Windsor's library, casting long, ghostly shadows across the ancient bookshelves. King Charles III sits at his desk, his face marked by exhaustion, after prolonged treatments that have weakened his health. This is precisely the moment Camilla has been waiting for, the point at which the king's psychological defenses are at their most fragile. She enters not with the poise of a queen, but with reddened eyes and trembling shoulders, as if crushed by an unbearable emotional shock. Clutching the evidence, the forged dossier titled "The Early Transfer Operation," in her frail hands, Camilla collapses beside Charles's chair. She feigns a level of anguish so intense that she can barely speak, only extending the file with an expression of utter disgust. With words laced in venom but wrapped in the guise of concern for the monarchy, she begins to inject poison into the king's mind. "Charles, I wish I had never seen this. I tried to believe your son was an honorable man, but the truth is too cruel." Camilla chokes out, fake tears streaming down her cheeks. "I found it by accident in the confidential correspondence chest. William, the son you trust above all else, is counting the days to cast us out of our own home. He has already prepared your abdication plan, even siphoned off millions of pounds to buy support. You must see his true face, a disloyal son, driven by madness and ambition." King Charles, his hands trembling, flips through the pages filled with fabricated transactions and forged signatures. His physical fatigue is quickly overtaken by a surge of explosive fury. In his mind, the image of his devoted eldest son blurs, replaced by the specter of a traitor lurking for the throne. Without a moment's hesitation to verify, in a storm of uncontrollable anger, the king orders William to be summoned immediately. The confrontation unfolds in the suffocating atmosphere of the Grand Hall, under the stunned gaze of the most trusted courtiers. King Charles gives William no chance to explain. He unleashes his rage upon his son with the harshest accusations, the sharp crack of his fist slamming the table echoing throughout the chamber. "What have you done to this royal bloodline? You dare plot behind my back, dare siphon the nation's wealth to pave your own path to the crown?" Charles roars, his face flushed with fury. "I call you a traitor, William. You are unworthy of the title Prince of Wales. Do you wish me gone from this palace so soon?" Standing at the center of this storm of humiliation, Prince William remains composed, unwavering in his regal bearing. He shows neither fear nor confusion. Integrity radiates from his upright stance and his steady, cold gaze locked onto his father, who has lost control. He sees his father's pain, but also catches the fleeting glint of satisfaction in Camilla's narrowed eyes behind him. William stands in silence, a silence heavy with authority in the face of baseless accusations. One that makes those present sense that another truth lies hidden beneath the surface. Yet that very silence becomes a crushing judgment of conscience for one man standing in the shadows. Arthur, the old servant, shrinking into a corner, witnesses the entire cruel performance he himself helped orchestrate. As he watches William's integrity, the man he has always respected, being buried under lies written by his own hand, Arthur feels his chest tightening, as if suffocated. His fear of Camilla is now overshadowed by a deeper terror. The vision of a monarchy collapsing because of a crime he enabled. That night, as fog blankets Windsor, Arthur knows he can remain silent no longer. He secretly sends a private signal to William's office, requesting a meeting at St. George's Chapel, the most sacred place of the royal family, where lies cannot find refuge. Beneath the ancient stone arches of the chapel, in the dim glow of flickering candles, William appears like a tall, silent specter. The moment Arthur sees the prince, he can no longer hold himself together. The old servant collapses to his knees, trembling hands clutching the hem of William's coat, tears streaming down his wrinkled face. "Your Highness, please forgive this wretched man. I have committed an unforgivable crime against the monarchy," Arthur gasps, his breath broken. In the solemn silence of the chapel, Arthur confesses everything. He recounts in detail the secret meeting in the wine cellar, the threats and manipulation from Camilla, and how she personally directed him to fabricate every number, every signature in the dossier titled the Early Transfer Operation. He reveals the entire sinister plot to fracture the bond between father and son and to destroy the heir's reputation. William listens without expression, though his hands clench tightly behind his back. The truth has finally been laid bare from the mouth of the accomplice himself. He helps Arthur to his feet, his eyes flashing with a sharp glint, the look of a future king who now holds the decisive card to overturn the game. Camilla's revenge has created a fracture, and now William will use that very crack to shatter her ambitions forever. The darkness that blankets Windsor Castle cannot conceal the suffocating tension inside the private study of King Charles III. Prince William enters not with the demeanor of an accused man, but with the bearing of a future king holding justice in his hands. Behind him follows Arthur, the old servant, trembling, yet with eyes that reveal belated remorse. William silently places a tablet on the desk directly before his father and Camilla. The video, extracted from the secure surveillance system, plays with chilling clarity. Camilla, in the shadows of the wine cellar, personally instructing Arthur on how to forge each signature and construct the dossier titled the Early Transfer Operation. Every venomous word, every calculated command echoes through the stillness, shattering the painful facade she had staged before. The truth explodes like ice water poured over the king's long-held blind trust. Charles sits frozen, his eyes shifting from shock to unbearable anguish as he looks at the woman beside him. Before him no longer stands a devoted, supportive wife, but the face of a venomous serpent, driven by mad ambition, a figure willing to destroy both father and son and destabilize the monarchy itself to satisfy petty jealousy. Camilla pales, her lips trembling as she attempts to form a defense. But William's razor-sharp gaze cuts her off. After moments of stunned silence, the king regains the resolve of a monarch deeply betrayed. He no longer shouts at William. Instead, he turns to Camilla with a disgust he has never shown before. "You used my love as a weapon against my own son," Charles declares, his voice hoarse with fury, yet firm with finality. That very night, an emergency royal decree is issued. With a hand trembling from personal pain yet steady with royal duty, King Charles signs the order stripping Camilla of all royal titles. He commands the royal guards to escort her out of the palace immediately. No delay permitted. The expulsion unfolds in utter humiliation. Under strict supervision by the royal guard, Camilla is forced to hastily gather her personal belongings. No attendants, no ceremonial escort, she walks out through Windsor's iron gates into the freezing darkness of the night. The image of a once powerful queen is now reduced to a solitary shadow cast out and abandoned. A decades-long dream of power and the presence of the Parker Bowles faction at the heart of the monarchy collapses completely. This is not merely the end of a conspiracy, but the most thorough purge in modern British royal history, restoring purity to the throne under William's protection. After the most terrifying political storm in modern history, the atmosphere within Buckingham Palace has now become more serene and solemn than ever before. The departure of Camilla and the Parker Bowles faction stands as a thorough purge, restoring the purity and dignity once inherent in the royal corridors. Yet Prince William does not rest on his victory nor indulge in self-satisfaction. He understands that the crown is not merely power, it is an immense burden of responsibility. William pushes himself even harder, striving to become the most indispensable right hand to his father. He devotes himself to supporting King Charles III in every decision, working tirelessly to restore the credibility and public trust that had long been tarnished by Camilla's schemes and jealousy. Every step he takes is calculated with precision, aimed toward building a monarchy that is transparent and resilient. Meanwhile, at the secluded Ray Mill House in Wiltshire, Camilla's world has now shrunk into the cold confines of 4 brick walls. No longer bathed in the glow of palace grandeur, no longer accompanied by ceremonial escorts, she lives in absolute isolation and under the merciless coldness of international public opinion. Each passing day, Camilla sits by the window, gazing out at the silent garden, bitter tears tracing down a face marked deeply by failure. A wave of belated regret torments her mind as she watches the television screen, where Prince William, Princess Kate, and their children appear among cheering crowds. The thunderous applause and admiring gazes from the public toward William's family cut into the pride of the exiled figure like blades. They are hailed as saviors, new symbols of hope for the modern monarchy. Dawn has truly broken over the kingdom, but for Camilla, it is an eternal sunset of ambitions laid bare and destroyed. What are your thoughts on Prince William's decisiveness and the harsh fate that befell Camilla in this power struggle? In your view, what lessons does this internal purge of the monarchy offer about loyalty and the price of corrupt ambition? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.